On the radio. I feel like I'm one of the radio hosts.
All right, we're live on YouTube.
We're not on the radio? I thought we were on the radio.
Now I'm going to go live on Spreaker.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yep, microphone is... And now I will turn this music down. Okay. All right. Welcome to That Mystery Show podcast.
Hi, Carla. Hi,
Hi, Farah.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Just, I'm not looking forward to the summer.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. And think about what we've had already.
Right.
Kindness and light is here. Well, hello.
Hey. I like that name.
I do too.
That's
so we
cute.
Are
adorable.
Tonight, we're just a couple of ladies, opinionated ladies, talking about our opinions on who was God. And well, hi Lisa. It's nice to meet you, Lisa.
Yay.
This is just a podcast.
More the merrier.
Absolutely. So we're not going to show our faces tonight. This way we can,
keep it cash. Keep it cash.
Yeah, keep it casual. Absolutely. Yeah, it's easier to say stuff when no one can see your face.
I always wonder if I got a booger up my nose or something.
Yeah. And they would have to tell us in chat if we did,
True.
So anyway, tonight we're going to discuss who were the gods,
Who was the gods? Who was Yahweh? What is Yahweh?
Yeah, absolutely.
What kind of name is Yahweh? You know what? Which way shall you go? You shall go Yahweh. Sorry, that was a bad joke.
Go Yahweh. You go Yahweh and I'll go mine.
You go Yahweh, I'll go mine.
No. Oh my goodness. Well, my God. Kristen. Kristen is here.
Yay, more the merrier.
Thank you for joining us tonight. So I think that a little bit through this, I could share the StreamYard link. Pretty sure I can do that. And I think we got a couple more slots maybe that somebody could pop on and join in the chat if they'd like. So Kristen says she's a Norse pagan and she honors the Norse gods such as Freya, Odin, Thor, etc.
Yeah,
absolutely. See, and I believe that you and I have talked about this, Farah, the elephant story.
Oh my God, the elephant story. Here's the elephant story.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sure this is an old story, but the story goes is that there are 5 men and they're blindfolded and they're standing near an elephant. One is told to hold the tail. The other one is told to touch the torso, the rib cage. The other one is told to touch the tusks. The other one's told to touch hold the trunk, and the other one's told to hold the ear. And they're like, okay, now describe what you're touching. And the one touching the tail says, I'm touching a whip. It's definitely a whip or a rope. The one touching the torso, the rib cage, is like, I'm touching a tree trunk. The other one says, no. It's definitely the one touching the trunk is saying it's a spear. It's definitely a spear. The other one that's touching the trunk is like, no, this is definitely a snake. The one touching the ear is saying, No, I think it's definitely like a big leaf or a fan or something. But they're all touching an elephant, right? Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. By the way, Lady Blind Wolf has joined us.
Yay. Hey,
I
Lady Blind Wolf, are you doing? I'm since you're here, you must be doing better.
yeah, exactly. She's
I
been,
hope you're doing better.
yeah,
In
she,
fact, I hope everybody's doing better.
me too. Me too. We have Shaw Woman. And she says,
Ooh.
she says, hi, Carla, Scooby Dooby Doo. Ruby Ruby Doo.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I had my Scooby snacks earlier.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I had some snacks, but um, yeah, absolutely. I love that story because what Kristen's talking about, you know, she honors the Norse gods. I believe that the gods all have different names with different cultures, but they could be the same god. You know, representing whatever they're representing. It's just that culture gave it a different name. But I was kind of thinking maybe to start with YHWH
Yeah.
Yahweh, because my theory is that that is Enlil. Like I very much into the Sumerian tablets, and Enlil is Enki's brother, and Enlil was just I believe that was like a title. So I think it was like El, and so then
Hmm.
you think of the El kind of goes with Elohim, um, El God. I think that Enlil is Yahweh from the Old Testament. And I believe that Jesus, when he talks about his father in the uh, New Testament, I don't believe that he's talking about Yahweh.
Donut lady, what's hanging?
Phoenix Fire, yes, yes, thank you.
Donuts. The donut delivery lady.
So that's why it's so interesting to me that Yahweh in Christianity is associated with God, but I don't, yes, 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 yes. Listen to this. Kristen says Yahweh was one of the, or Yadhova, or however you want to pronounce it, was one of the
Right.
many gods originally. The Israelites were originally henotheists. They believed in many gods, but had a relationship with only one.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Elohim, many
Mm-hmm.
gods.
Many
Yeah.
gods. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. And so it's like, I grew up Christian and it was never forced upon me. It was absolutely my choice. My family was Christian, but my mom was more kind of lax. She made it available. And then, my sister and I kind of jumped on that. But, you know, we were always taught that the God from the Old Testament is the same as the God in the New Testament. And there's no way that I think they're the same. So who do you think Yahweh was?
Well, I mean, I look, obviously we have some, similarity, and I agree with you. I mean, look, the idea that Enlil and Enki were, around, and this is just becoming more mainstream. So, if somebody wants to deny it, that cool, deny it. That's your business.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've got the tablets, they've got the information, I mean, and even if you want to say, well, someone created the tablets, just look at the fact that it just went from like no science to science in a matter of like one generation. Clearly it came from aliens. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing. I mean, I'm thinking, I, is God an alien? Well, that's what first got me into the Bible. It's what made me want to read it. And,
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure that Enki was a sky god. And when I say that, I mean that his chariot came from the sky.
Hmm.
Hello. um, but just knowing like the things that I believe and listening to other people, I feel like why are we stressing over these little details anyway? Is it really that important to figure out if you're right or I'm wrong? Or it's just, to me, that's the pointless part is no, because I think we're all right.
You know, it's so funny that you mentioned that because it's so interesting because doesn't it go back to the one? I mean, look, I I totally get it
We are
because
one.
I look, for those of you that don't know, I have I'm Pakistani and my grandparents were born in India. And as we all know, India had many gods, right? And they were all of the one god, so like they had different powers. And I've heard this within some of the maybe is it Kristen, maybe you can tell me, like they all had different powers, right? They all had different skills. But so this is something that's been it's in India, it's in Africa, it's in the Aztecs had the different gods too. So this is a similarity that Carla, you're talking about. Like there's a similarity here with different civilizations across the equator. You know.
Yes.
So I forgot my point. I
The,
had a point and I lost it.
I'm going to share the StreamYard link here uh, in the chat if it'll let me. I think it
Mhm.
will. So if it does, I invite anybody that wants to pop on and share what they think about this. But um, what I do think is important are like, and I think Lady Blind Wolf is going to agree with me, is the way that Christianity is like kind of being shoved down our throats in a political way. And I think that's the part that bothers me, because if there is no way to prove who's right and who's wrong, why would you want to prove or have one certain way of belief shoved down our throats or even be politicized in any way? You,
Oh, that's okay. That's what it was. I was thinking of the idea of right and wrong, because you're absolutely right. Because right and wrong has created so much war and so much bloodshed, and even back before I got into the spiritual studies, a lot of the stories do tend to correlate, like Noah's Ark, for example, that there's a Norse story concerning that, and there's also a story with the Greek pantheon. Yeah,
hey, you seen us for a minute? Hi,
I I have I
peekaboo.
have bifocal, so I got to look down my nose to read stuff.
So,
Okay.
Lady
Um,
Blind Wolf, hi.
I'm not putting myself on camera. I'm
Yeah,
still
I know.
dealing with
I took
COVID.
myself off.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, absolutely.
but I was going to say that Christianity took a lot from different pantheons within paganism in order to convert people.
mhm.
And I don't remember the exact, but I did see something concerning the flood with the Norse paganism and also with the Greek pantheon. So, they do take a lot in order to sort of validate and, kind of convert people.
Yeah. I found something that this I shared it with Farah earlier, and I'm telling you, this came from the Old Testament, and I screenshotted it. This came from the Old Testament, and this describes the God from the Old Testament, and this is why I have a little bit of a problem with it being politicized. So when they were having trouble with the Canaanites, and God told his prophet that the Canaanites need to be taken out. in Deuteronomy, it says, if a man finds a damsel that is a virgin, and we're talking about their, the Canaanites here, which is not betrothed, lay a hold on her and lie with her. And then he goes on to say, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he's humbled her. And then, that's in other words saying, just take her. She's a virgin. She can be yours. Don't kill everybody. You know what I mean? This is coming from the God of the Old Testament. And then in Zechariah, he's saying, again, you can ravish the women and kill the rest. Just kill everyone else.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? But do you really think Jesus was
BS? That's what it is. It's BS.
Yeah.
I think that's why people don't have any issue with this whole abortion thing and 11-year-old kids getting, I guess maybe that's where they took it from. But, they interpret things and take out what they want to take out and put in what they want to put in, like the Songs of Solomon, for example. That's something that was taken out.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, yep. Absolutely. It's
crazy. I mean, look, religion and politics have been going hand in hand since the beginning of religion.
Yeah.
It just there's just no two ways around it,
So do you think, Farah, that Jesus was real?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, here's the thing, and actually I come from a little bit of a sciencey background, right? And so the thing is that there's a really good documentary, and it talks about, like, when you observe something, it will change its form to fit your perception. So I could even make the argument that Santa Claus is real, and I could prove it. Now that sounds really controversial, because I'm essentially saying that oh yeah, Hinduism is awesome. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's, oh my God, don't get me off track.
I know, sorry, but these are some great comments. Yes.
But what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. What did you ask me?
The documentary that you were in about if Jesus is real.
Oh, yeah. Look, there's so many people that actually they have found proof. Like, because there's these, what are these biblical archaeologists, right? Because there's a whole team of them out there that are going to, because they go to find the artifacts to say, here, we proved it. Here, look at the Dead Sea Scrolls. Here, look at the oldest Bible. Here, look at these carvings that or these paintings that we found. So yeah, I mean, they have the artifacts there. I forgot which documentary was it, but it was directed by actually Steven Spielberg, I think. No, the guy who did Titanic. Who did Titanic? James Cameron.
Oh, okay.
James Cameron did a documentary with the Bible to prove that it was real and to prove Jesus was real.
Yeah. See, I believe he was real. I believe he was very real. I believe he was just like you and I.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that he was, he was equipped with secret knowledge, like from the schools, like the ancient mystery schools that we have only heard about, like the Cathars and the Templars and the, or obviously it's probably started with the Essenes and the, it just goes on down to now that we have the Masons. They all are keeping track of this knowledge that can be used either for good or bad. But I mean, I believe that when you use it in the best way, it can be used in a way to ascend. And the ascension is something that I think is what they don't want us finding out. Like they don't want us to figure that out. because
And
then
see,
we'd be
yeah.
like them.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I don't have this in my personality, but for some reason, there's a portion of the population. I
Yeah.
have a master's in theology. Oh, so cool! I
Yeah.
believe he existed. He's was the first century rabbi from the Pharisaic school, not a god.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. Oh my God, Christian, you could
Absolutely.
say so much.
Yes, she could.
Oh my God, Carla, you need to do a live with her.
I agree. Click on that link.
Bye.
Well, thanks for popping in, Shaw Woman. I really appreciate it. Yes. Yes. I believe that too, Kristen. I believe that the Essenes, had tapped into a way to the spiritual alchemy, the actual Kundalini or rising. Like if you I think in order to actually master that, or to know that you've actually done it, I really believe that the 3D falls away at that point. I know
Carla,
that,
what you're talking about is power.
yeah,
That's personal power,
yeah.
you know?
Well,
That
in order
who
for that
that
to truly rise, the ego has to die.
yeah.
I don't think I
The
know anybody that their ego has died. I don't.
right.
I think the problem is that people got too power hungry, and that's corrupted the whole philosophy of the church.
I agree
Absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is the church
Hmm.
has been corrupted by these people of power, by these politicians, and they want more. So the whole aspect of what Christianity really is has been corrupted. Now it's within politicians. But Jesus was not white and he didn't have blonde hair and blue eyes. So I
Yep.
think that's the other thing. Actually, it was one of the Borgia boys, sons of the Pope. I can't remember which Pope he was. It was Lucrezia Borgia's brother had gotten murdered, and so the Pope had all of the future representations of Jesus made to look like his son.
Mm.
So
So weird.
that's right, the one that we associate now.
Yeah, the pictures that I've seen, he looks very almost Greek Italian looking. you know.
Yeah, they were from Spain. They weren't from Italy, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Dark skinned, but more like a, Indian.
Well, woolly hair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So woolly hair would imply almost African, really.
Well, I have woolly hair, so I don't know.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you part Italian?
I have a little bit, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, the Bible said that he had skin of bronze and hair of lamb's wool.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yep, that's what I'm talking about.
Was that in Isaiah though?
I can't remember.
That was predictive text. So
Well,
I mean,
if he
he
was
could have been predicted, but I mean, I don't know. And in visions, visions, they come when something comes to you in a vision, it comes to you in however your consciousness perceives it. So if somebody perceived them in a vision, then it was however the person had perceived that was their own consciousness perceiving it. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like our consciousness pulls from our own. Our super consciousness can only use what knowledge we've obtained. So it was however we associate.
well,
It
would
doesn't.
we all agree that he was definitely somewhere Middle East or Mediterranean or something along those lines?
I would think
Ju-
so. I would.
Jewish
I mean,
chefs
yeah, I would think so. Yeah, just because of the
turned it
region.
into. Wait, what?
It
Christianity
was.
was a Jewish sect, but it got separated from Judaism.
It was
Oh,
Paul that turned it
gotcha.
into a religion separate from Judaism. And yes, that is.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. He was a Middle Eastern Jew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, everybody does like to use that wool one, but I believe that's from Isaiah, which is very predictive.
Mm.
So, not that I don't understand, but I think that that happens so much. That people will pull out of context to prove points, and you got to be a little careful with that. You got to read the whole thing, because after I read the whole thing, that's when I went, man,
Wait a minute. I got a question.
Jesus was not talking to that God from the Old Testament.
Wait. I got a question then.
What's that?
Okay. You must have told me this before, but I can't remember because I have memory like Swiss cheese. So, Yahweh. Now, if I remember this correctly, like, because Yahweh, Enlil, Old Testament is completely different from Jesus, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I
then,
even go ahead.
so then Jesus has his like abilities and his connection with what?
Say that again.
What the who's Jesus talking? Who is Jesus connecting with? What is Jesus connecting with?
I believe he was connecting with his highest power. And his highest power is the same thing that we connect to. It is universal consciousness. That's what I think that God is. I think that we are all a part of that. That's what I believe, And I mean, honestly, I feel like, who cares if I'm wrong? Who cares if I'm right? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I do care if it's brought into, say, something that might have some type of control over my everyday life, because that's when it becomes, oh, you know what? I don't necessarily believe in the way that the Christian values, or the way that that doctrine is taught, or the way that they interpreted it, because I'm getting my interpretations from the same Bible. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Granted, I didn't stop there. I knew after reading the Bible that there was more.
Mm-hmm.
It says it right in those scriptures. There was more than that. And you did a video on the Ethiopian Bible. There's 84
Yes.
books in that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yet
there's
Christianity
a
takes
guy. He had a show on PBS, and he did a thing. It was called Mysteries of the Bible, and he travels to like all these different places to like unravel the mysteries of the Bible. And he went to Ethiopia, and they found Jewish artifacts there in Ethiopia that this monastery still had locked up, but they would occasionally bring out for people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of the Ethiopian Bible on that monastery or whatever. It's like hidden away. You can't get to it. It's heavily protected, but there's 84 books in there. And
If I remember correctly, the Ark of the Covenant is there too.
Oh, wow.
In Ethiopia.
Yeah.
Which is strange because, going back to the whole politics thing, because Ethiopia is not a very politically strong country.
And it is 2014 there.
Oh, interesting.
Very, yes.
So strange.
They don't use the Gregorian calendar. So, I mean, and if you look at their calendar, the world ended in 2012, which was 220 or 2020.
So strange.
When COVID hit. And, the world as we knew it. And look at all the strange things that people are talking about. It's like, huh. Something did happen then, I mean, I've seen something, somebody, maybe Rhiannon, but I've seen other videos too about the whole, like, time was off.
Yeah.
You know, the ball dropped late. I mean, it was like there was so much stuff that had to do with time that it was just couldn't help but notice that all the clocks were off, all the phones were off, like within
So weird.
quite a few minutes of each other.
That's so strange.
Yeah.
So
We've got
strange.
major Mandela effects everywhere, which that can be explained, but I mean, it's still a lot. Still a lot.
Yeah. Remember, Carla, you and I, we were talking, I think it was you and I, I'm sure it was you and I, we were talking like, if Jesus was alive now, right?
Yeah.
How would he behave? What would he do with his life if he was around now, especially 2023?
He'd be a
You know?
Democrat.
I'm pretty sure that he would not want any part of the spotlight. I
It
think
was a joke.
yeah. Yeah, I think that like I said, when you ascend, I think the ego falls away, and I think we need that ego to do things like we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like not that well, maybe we don't need it, but it helps. You know, like it's hard for myself personally to put myself out there. There's times I would just rather stay locked up in my home and not really venture out, and I could be a hermit. I'd be good with that. But the ego pushes me to do things, and it pushes me out of my comfort zone.
Right.
And I do have a passionate voice. I want to share things, but the only way to do that is through my ego. So I think that Jesus would be powerful in his presence, but I think that he would piss a lot of people off. I really do.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of like, I don't know, if you're just standing next to somebody that could be perceived as like a powerful presence, as somebody that is just exudes like they're spiritually sound, automatically you take a look at yourself and you judge yourself.
I don't
That's
think,
for
no,
sure.
we're too busy judging others
And then
within Christianity
so we would
because
be judging him.
we're too busy pointing fingers at people that within Christianity. You're always pointing the finger at other people so that you don't have to look at your own shortcomings.
Yeah, I think that everybody does that, unfortunately. But yeah, that's it. The judging is completely human. So I think that if we would be judging him, I really do.
I would like to think, that Jesus would still be going around talking to people on the streets and healing them. I
Yeah.
really would. I really would like to think that he'd be like, "Hey, homeless dude, let me heal you." You
Yeah.
know,
He would be selfless.
still be a humanitarian.
Yeah. 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 I could see that. I would hope that
Or a
anyway.
vigilante.
I am Jesus.
Jesus man. Dun, dun,
I am
dun.
Yeshua. Yes. Yes. And if the Yeshua fit, I'm going to.
If the Yeshua fit.
I'm sorry.
That's good. That is so good. I love that. Yeshua fits.
And be going around with his sandals flying and with a slingshot and
Yes. Yep.
That would be so funny. So, okay, here's another question. So, clearly we're all on the same page with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So, why can't other people see this? Why can't they why are they so blinded and refuse to see what's right in front of them?
Well,
You know what I mean?
it's
personally,
called It's called a cult. That's why.
Oh.
It's
It's
easier
also
to
called
follow.
narcissism.
Yeah. It's easier to follow than it is to lead.
Mm.
That's just my opinion. I believe that it's easier to follow because you don't make much of a stink. You know, it's easier to follow than the other person takes the blame.
Well,
Yeah.
not if you're Greg Locke. He seems to blame everybody else, and some of these other pastors that just stand at their pulpits and say, "Well, I can't wait to where it's going to be legal that I can unalive the LGBTQ and I can unalive the pagans. I can't wait till that's legal."
That
Or
man
I
reminds
wish it were legal to do that. You know, that's not what pastors are supposed to do. And pastors are supposed to stay out of politics. But Greg Locke doesn't seem to do that. He lost his tax exemption.
Yeah, I feel like he is very like an abusive, like he's like behind doors, he's abusive. I mean, you see it written all over his face. He's scary. He is a scary man.
Well, look at all the scary stuff that's going on in Florida and Texas and Tennessee.
I heard
mean,
a little bit
Can't
about
pay
it.
me to go there. Or you'd have to pay me a lot of money to go there.
Nope.
Yeah. Especially
Nope.
as a brown person. Look, I'm sorry. Racism. Okay, I'm just going to bring it. Because that's another thing too. For some reason, religion and racism becomes mixed in together, which is not even necessary. It's just not.
You know, when there's a little voice inside your head or in your heart or in wherever it is, you know, the little voices that we hear come from ourselves. You know, it's either our ego or our consciousness or something that says, you know, when you hear like Lisa says that somebody is telling you exactly what you're feeling inside, whether what you're feeling inside is wrong, right, whatever, it's still how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody is validating that, you're going, yes, yes. And, you know, we all are at different levels in our evolution when it comes to the way that we think. You know, we start off, you know, childlike. And so we need guidance. And then we, you know, we're teenagers, we're rebellious, then we're young adults. And then how we were as a child to the teenager is kind of how we are as young adults. And then we, you know, we're either still impressionable or, you know, somebody showed us that we can use our voice. And so we do. Either way, if it's say we were abused, you know, and somebody is talking about avenging for that abuse, so whether it's right or wrong, you're still feeling that. And when somebody's up there at the loudspeaker leading millions of people and validating what you're feeling, you're gonna follow.
Because wanna belong. I
Yeah.
like what Kindness and Light had to say.
I
I
do too.
really, you know, like, can we just all get along? We just
Absolutely.
all get along? Why is that so hard?
We're all one with him. And especially because when I think of Christ,
Mm-hmm.
I think that the Christ consciousness is different than what Jesus was. I believe Jesus tapped into the Christ consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you could only get to the Father through him, through his consciousness, through the Christ consciousness, which is what we are all tapped into, or we can be. We have free will. And so through that consciousness, we are all one. We're all tapped in. And yeah, that makes us all one. We are all one. We're all God's children. Absolutely.
I love astrology, right? And so yesterday when we were coming home, we went out, and for those of you that don't know, Lady Blind Wolf and Kindness and Light, I had to go to a mosque. a Muslim mosque because my mom is Muslim. But, I went, whatever, not a big deal. The food was decent. So, but and we were coming home, and when we got out of the car, I'm looking at the stars, and it made me think of, like, if each star was a person, right? And this goes back to who are the gods, the like, because it's not just the one, because that brings up another thing. Let me finish what I was saying.
Okay.
So when we look up at the night sky,
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing when every galaxy, every planet, every star shows as brightly as it can, because it makes the whole scenery that much more beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
right? And same with, like, the the aliens that came here a long time ago. It wasn't just the one. It's never just the one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just Enlil. It was Enlil and Enki and
And their
T.
sister.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yep.
you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yes.
it's like what we've had conversations because I work with Sansa Muerte, and she kind of said you need to go and hang out with Hecate for a bit. So I'm kind of new to all this deity stuff, and there's a lot of correlations with between Hecate and Sansa Muerte. It's different pantheons, but it's a lot of the same correlations, like with road opening and with a lot of the animals that work with them, and just there's a lot of correlations between the two.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. I agree
I
with that.
I have the Santa Muerte tarot. Oh my god, it's one of my top 10 tarot decks. Not that it's Santa Muerte-ish, but it because it's got the name, and I feel a little bit connection. Plus I have the North Node in the House of Death. So,
Get
but
the
let me get
oracle.
what?
Get the oracle. There's an oracle that goes with it.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah. Is the book good too?
The oracle.
No,
I,
is the
I
gu- is the guidebook good also?
I don't know whether I would say it's good or bad, but there is an oracle that I think was by the same artist, and it it it's just basically it kind of backs up. It's kind of like the backup to the tarot deck, or vice versa. But yeah, you can't. To me, you can't have the Santa Muerte tarot without getting the Santa Muerte oracle. I got those for my birthday years ago. So,
Okay.
um, but because I work with, that's what got started me working with her, because I kept getting so drawn to it. And my kid was like, it made sense later, but I got both of those for my birthday a few years ago, and I still use them, especially like if I'm wanting to do things concerning spirits and stuff like that.
Hey, I've been reading the comments, so I saw what kindness and light. I saw kindness and lights. Yeah, yeah. I saw that comment, and I also lady. I think
Lady
it's
Adara, she
a
come in.
Lady Adara. Yeah, yeah. So I'm reading the comments too. Yeah.
I love that we are all talking about the same gods. You know what I mean? It's just we have different names. And so I watched a video, Farah, where you were talking like, I know people don't like it when I say God. I have felt that same thing too, but I feel like we're all talking about the same things.
Yeah.
But because Christianity has like stolen it,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't help but feel that way, they like they took everything and then they like made it what we believe bad so that I don't know, they just misconstrued it. And I always wondered that like not like when I was looking at the Bible, it wasn't just because I believed God was an alien, but I had a little bit of trouble believing that like astrology and all that was bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I really dug into the like Genesis and then I couldn't help but want to read the book of Enoch. I mean, I get all the way through it and it's telling me Enoch wrote scripture. Well, where is it? I found that in the Bible. Where is it?
Yeah.
So then, of course, I want to read the book of Enoch because he's talking about the fallen and he gives them names and what they're responsible for. So then I was like, yeah, but wait. So then this is another thing that is very interesting to me. It's like I didn't find out about the Anunnaki until later. And then I got my hands on Zechariah Sitchin's The Lost Book of Enki. And I had to read that about 3 different times. But the similarities between the Sumerian tablets and the Bible are just so freaking uncanny to me that it kind of explained the holes. It explained where there were holes in the Bible.
Yeah.
And then I start getting into tarot because tarot was always so taboo. And then I realized the spiritual symbolism within the tarot. I'm like, okay, no wonder why Christianity has said it's bad. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, look at what was it in the Lovers card? It's got the angel and the angels of flame.
It is a way to ascend. It's learning about ascension. It's spiritual alchemy, and they don't want us to know that.
Well, just like their judgment card, it's symbolistic of the end of days.
Yeah.
I mean, back at one day, tarot was not taboo. People used it quite frequently, but now, and I think a lot of that is due to fear because people are starting to do their own research or religious trauma or religious abuse, and people are leaving the church in droves, and now the church is losing its freaking mind.
Yep. And it takes us all the way back to the Garden of Eden when the serpent slithered down the tree and he said, "Ooh, eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil."
Mm-hmm.
And God said, "No, they will become like us." That's a big no. Yeah, exactly. Because we will become like them. The Elohim, the shining ones.
Yeah. I mean, like, okay, Lady Blind Wolf and what Kindness and Light said, it makes so much sense because that connection of wolves and sheep, right?
Yep.
Wolves and sheep, and also what you just said too about something like they want to keep us traumatized. Do they? Yeah. I know this is a crazy question, but when they say Father, Son, Holy Ghost, most say Jesus is God, or all three. I was taught Jesus was God's Father, right?
There's actually I forget, I've seen this before and I can't remember the name of it, but it was talking about um like back in the way back in the day that there was a queen, um and her husband died and she became pregnant. So she basically said that he came back in spirit and impregnated her, and that's, no heck with the fact that, she did the deed with somebody else. Her husband was dead anyway. I don't see what it mattered, but um that's where the whole concept of Jesus rising from the dead and ascending, that actually came from. So they have this whole history of taking things that are within paganism in order to make it what they want to make it, just like the whole concept of hell. Okay,
Yeah.
well, hell in Norse mythology is actually a person, not a place.
Right.
And they took Cornunus and basically made him into the one that's Satan, and said, well, you're gonna suffer and all. I'd rather be in hell with the cool people than in heaven with all the idiots.
Yeah, kindness and light. You know this. Okay, so we've been talking about Jesus and Christ consciousness, but I can also tell you too that this idea of a person being born with a human father has this is a story that is older than Jesus. Like Krishna was born without a human father.
Mm-hmm.
So this has happened more than once, and of course, of course it's possible. You know, it's of course it's possible for Jesus to have um a spiritual father because it's happened before, and it's not just happened in Christianity, but it's happened in Hinduism, it's happened in African stories as well.
Greek
So
pantheon. Zeus was
thank
a
you.
player.
Thank you. Yes,
Zeus
Yeah,
got
exactly.
yeah,
around.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Oh,
John the
Hercules.
Baptist,
Hercules was human, right? But he
he
was
was a
the
demigod. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
Perseus.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
John the Baptist's mother had an immaculate conception also.
Yeah.
So that it was not an uncommon thing. The I guess the if you think I found something out today. This my daughters they schooled me today. And Taylor is she's a psychology student, but she's also had to take some sciences. And she said that a woman is capable of using her own bone marrow and um, just like her own DNA and impregnating herself. Obviously with the help of you know science, she can impregnate herself. She doesn't need a man's sperm. So think about that. Think about that. If aliens were intervening, which when I think of Jesus, I think he was a hybrid. I only think that now because of my own experiences of being abducted as a child. So no matter if it was good, bad, whatever, it happened because I was awake. um, you know, I know the mind plays tricks, but that's such a common story for me to think that it only happened to me. So I believe that technology like that very well could have existed then, especially if they had contact. And we see now more and more through ancient artifacts, ancient history, things that we are learning more and more that there was alien, extraterrestrial activity, whatever you want to call it. Alien, maybe not so alien because they've always been here. They were here before us. So I can believe that maybe something like that happened. Or again, he was a hybrid of some sort. So he had DNA not just from his mother, but you know, maybe extraterrestrial. Sons of gods
I say definitely. I say
walked the
definitely
earth.
was the son of yeah. He was the son of the Holy Spirit, Holy Ghost, the Son of God. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You know what? Kindness and light. That goes totally against what my mom would tell me to say. Because growing up Muslim, they told me, okay, we're gonna go along with everything that the Christians say, but we're just not gonna say Jesus is the Son of God. And here I am today going, sure, of course.
Well, that's why I chose omnism for if I was going to put any label on my spirituality. Omnism, because there's truth in all belief systems, but not one is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I that's why I choose to listen. I choose to listen because of knowing how I feel. Someone else might say something that I'm like, oh, I need to research that. And then so I'm constantly evolving. My spirituality is constantly evolving, but that's what it means to ascend. You're not, if you stay stuck in one belief system, you know, you're not gonna.
There's no evolving in Christianity, though, either. That's the other thing. You don't evolve in Christianity. I mean, you just sit there and have someone point their finger at you and say,
No wonder you're not on camera.
It's so much truth, though. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally, Lady Adara, for sure.
Yes. Yes. And that's, I was talking about that earlier, Lady Adara, where I feel like Christianity stole so much and just tried to, like, I don't know. It's like, you know, the people that rip off, you know, name brand perfumes and make it their own, you know, and they sell it for a cheaper cost, or
they culturally appropriated. That's what it is. Christians were the biggest ones when it came to cultural appropriation. But yet they're the most persecuted, according to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would only make it Son and Holy Ghost, right? God is still the Father. Yeah, I feel like the consciousness, like we are all creators. And so I feel like the ultimate creator, you know, I kind of believe in that. I mean, like the Father is the source of everything. So, I mean, if Jesus called him the Father, that would still make the Father the beginning and the end. Whereas, you know, Enlil was a flesh god. He was a fleshly god. You know what I mean? He came in the 3D. This,
Yep.
the God from the New Testament, Jesus's Father, our Father, the source, is unnamed. He can't be named. He's not flesh. He doesn't have human emotions. He's not human. We are human. And the part that I believe that is in, you know, that is, we share the consciousness, that Christ consciousness, if we choose to. Obviously, I think it's there for everybody.
I think on our very core level, you know, we know when something doesn't sit right. We know when something doesn't make sense. And we know when something is true and when something is not true. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but when you know that, and you know, that Bible to me is the Christian rule book. It's not my rule book. I'm not Christian. And
because it's not the truth.
Right.
But you get people, and I've been on so many TikTok lives where you know, you're having a pagan discussion and Christians will come in, or somebody wants to sit there and debate the existence of Christ. I mean, these people just get downright nuts. They cannot handle the fact that someone does not believe in Christianity or is not a Christian, and they will fight tooth and nail to convert you to Christianity instead of doing what the Bible says and letting you, kicking the dust off their feet and letting you walk away in peace. No, these people, they'll go so far as to get your live banned and get you kicked off from going live, because they're that threatened.
Which says so much to me, because it is the ego that fights to say, I'm right and you're wrong. It's the ego. It is that human 3D flesh suit, the shadow that Carl Jung, you know, talks about. The ego. It is what makes us very human, that says we have to be right.
But the Bible says that you have to get rid of ego. Absolutely. They don't even follow their own Bible.
Absolutely.
And I've brought that up several times. I'm like, okay, well, what does the Bible say about adultery? well, it says that, okay, but yet you have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene who, you know, and I'm like, okay, so then what does the Bible say we should do with her? Well, we don't know. If you're going to preaching the Bible and tell me I have to follow the Bible, that means every stinking freaking rule, and that means that she should get that sentence. But at the same time, there is not one Bible verse about men that commit adultery.
Again,
Not
just
one.
like we were reading from Deuteronomy and Zechariah, where Yahweh says, "Go ahead and kill everybody," but you know what? Save those virgins for yourself now. Make sure you save them virgins.
Because
Come on.
virgins are really, look, it's like it's in Islam. Oh wait, let's look at Lady Adara, because okay, maybe the aliens are gods, as we call them.
I
Yeah,
think
try
they
telling
were,
that to the
absolutely.
Christians, to like the heart, like the
Yeah.
fundamental Christians.
Well, some now will tell you, oh, okay, no, the aliens are the fallen. They're the demons. I don't believe that. I have a problem with that too, because I think that we all were created with free will, including these extraterrestrials that they're calling the fallen angels. I think they had free will. And, do I really still want to follow a God that isn't going to give me a fucking break when I'm trying to do better?
Right.
No matter what you do, you're sinning. I actually got into an argument with somebody about the sin of gossip. I said, okay, so when you watch the news, that's gossip. Yes, and I pray to, it's like you watch the news, but then you pray to God to forgive you for watching the news. I'm sorry. I was like, how does that they never make it make sense.
Yeah. I just feel like if we want forgiveness, we have to forgive others. So if they're going to constantly say that these are demons, then they're taking the free will away from the fallen too. And there is that to me, that's being a hypocrite. Just like you said, no, all creatures, everything living has free will according to Jesus's Father. That includes those fallen angels. So why does Christianity want to call them demons? I got a problem with that too.
Oh, that's a good one. It's like, who wants to be labeled as all bad?
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
Like, would I want to be known for the rest of time as the worst of the worst?
It's just like for every angel, there's a demon. It's just like the demon is the flip side of that same coin with the angel.
Just like we have a shadow.
Sure.
Exactly.
But maybe that demon did some good stuff. Who knows?
Yes. I doubt the Father called them demons. He called them his children.
They have names.
Sons of God.
They have their own names. Like,
yeah,
whichever names they, I don't know what the correct names are, but
they went against Enlil, who only wanted us to work for him. The word avad, which was translated as worship, actually meant work for. So
interesting.
Old Testament, where it says to worship, it meant work for.
Well, there's actually they call it the demon tarot, but it's actually an oracle. And my kid got it for me. Someone donated it to Goodwill, and I got it. But that has a lot of the demon names in it.
Okay.
But
see, yeah, Carla, you made such a good point. Like, because the word worship, like these words have been, their meanings have been changed. I mean,
yeah. But by golly, don't let this present administration let him find you spreading misinformation.
What are you talking about?
We're taking our rainbow back. It was never yours to begin with. There's Norse mythology had the rainbow. There's it was never yours to begin with, but we're going to take our rainbow back. Yeah. It's been for chakras. It wasn't just for LGBTQ. It's been for shock. It's been for a lot of things for way before Christianity. But nope, we're taking back our rainbow.
The rainbow body. Absolutely. Absolutely. The rainbow bridge. I mean, yeah, absolutely. You are right. I love that. So,
So
And this is the thing. It makes me go back to the whole Jesus thing, because, or just Jesus's father, because it's like, first we have Yahweh, and we've got this like uh power and dominate, and then we've got Jesus is like, hey, can we just all get along? Let me just heal you. And then we've got Islam, and Islam is like, oh, let's power and dominate. And I'm just like, will it ever end? Will it ever, because whatever. I believe that the absolute truth and the God that's the God of the God of the
mhm.
gods is eternal, is forever, cannot be destroyed, right? You can tell me I'm wrong, but
Rainbow.
it's the rainbow. Do you got Skittles?
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Yeah, that's going to be the next thing that these mega nut jobs are going to want to do. They're going to want to ban Skittles because it's all about the rainbow. They're trying to ban Bud Light, but now they're going to want to ban
Don't forget
Skittles now.
Kool-Aid. Don't forget Kool-Aid, man. And Fruit Loops.
Yes.
Lucky Charms.
Oh my God, Lucky Charms.
Oh God, they've totally screwed up Lucky Charms. I've seen what they've done now, and I'm like, you people, just bring the originals back. Come on.
Wait. Since we're talking about stuff, can I tell you I was driving the other day, when it was yesterday when we were out driving, because some people still have their Easter stuff up around.
Oh yeah.
I live in a predominantly Republican place, state, whatever. And I saw the half open Easter eggs with a cross put in the Easter egg. I was like, well, that's a good compromise, isn't it? Put the Easter egg and put the cross in there.
Yeah. That's a compromise. That's exactly. So, I kind of back the, I think I talked to you about this, Farah. I follow a couple people, and that resonate with like the things that they're sharing on their platforms about, especially like Bible texts and who they think the God from the Old Testament is, and blah blah. The things that we talked about tonight. So I follow people like that, and I think when a person has a large following, let's use Mr. Locke as an example. To me, that is what you should be weary of. If they're spouting everything and they want their followers and they have to be right, that goes against everything that the type of person that I am trying to be. Why would I want to follow somebody that is totally disregarding the spiritual path? You know what I mean? The whole all in their ego, because the ego says, look at me, I'm more spiritual than that guy. What I'm saying is the truth. And so in order to make their stuff sound like the truth, they got to cut down the other person. They're constantly looking for the flaws in what someone else believes. That's
well,
what
can we just mention the fact that he was present January 6th? He was there. And then in a sermon, he said, you haven't seen an insurrection yet. And then YouTube finally cuts his channel off. And what does the man go and do? Creates 3 more. I mean, the man is absolutely, Tennessee doesn't even have, they're trying to do away with the marriage age. Look at all of the things that this man supports. I'm not racist, but I'm going to write a rap song about sex trafficking. But then I'm going to say that, he had a phrase in his rap song about slavery. And he's like, well, I'm not talking about picking cotton. women during that time period, slave black women, were not sex trafficked, but I'm not a racist, you know. I want black people to come to my church. And
You
it's
know,
like, you make it make freaking sense.
absolutely. And what's sad is like especially like Lady Adara says, I have no faith in humanity anymore. People get butt hurt way too easily. And you know what? That is sad but true. But here's the thing. Look at us. Look at us. People like us
Yeah.
are out there. I mean, all three of us on this panel right here have a small following, but we use our voice to say how we feel. And we don't have the big followers. And we're not saying, hey, pay this amount of money and come and I'll teach you how to do this spiritual thing. No, we're just sharing freely and we lose more followers because we do
No,
that.
when I started my channel, I wanted to just do my journey from a blind person's perspective. That's
Yeah.
how I started out with my stuff. And then you had someone like Erie's Witchcraft come along and tell me, you need to look at this from a different angle. And then the Lady Grave Dancer and all those people left YouTube, and I sat there and I go, they're gone now. Who's going to carry the torch for these younger witches now that they're gone? And I really contemplated that. So now that's why I'm like, I changed my total aspect when it came to the stuff that I did on my channel. It's like, okay, these younger ones got to learn. And one of the things that I've talked about is these kids learn in history. They need to understand the history of paganism and witchcraft and what people have gone through. I mean, look, Native Americans weren't allowed to practice their religion until 1978.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
never everything that we were taught as kids, and I'm sorry, but everything that we were taught as kids was a lie. We've never had freedom of religion. We've
Nope.
never had a free press.
Nope.
We've never had freedom of speech. Our
Nope.
government has always silenced us. And it's
Yep.
like, I'm 49 years old and I'm just now figuring this out. And then
Oh,
I
you're
feel
the
like a
same
total
age as
idiot.
me.
Yep.
You're the same age as me. I'm 49 too. Hey,
Yeah.
Lady
And
Adara, this what you said, people get hurt so badly. Like, okay, here's an example, right? So the three of us are using our voice right now. And I could say, "Hey, Carla," just as an example. "Hey, Carla, you know, I'm not I'm not really focused on Jesus because Jesus has only been a small part of my life. And I also have a Pakistani Indian background. Are you going to get hurt by that?
No, not at all.
See? But somebody else, somebody like what Lady Blindy Wolf would say, if I went on TikTok or something, I said, you know what, I'm really not that much into Jesus because I also have a Pakistani Indian background. They'd be like, oh, well, wait a minute. You need to do A, B, and C.
Yep.
it's not Jesus I've got a problem with. It's his fan club. That's what I always tell them. And even that gets them offended. I've been
Yeah, well,
suspended so many times. I got suspended for telling someone, oh, if you don't like our chaplain, you can leave. And then I got suspended for saying something negative about the Christian church. And I got a bullying and harassment. And then I couldn't go live for like 3 or 4 days or be on anyone's live for like 3 or 4 days. I mean, they are the diehard. It's just like that and the Trump supporters. And they will do everything they can do to get your lives banned. If you're, they can't. They just lose their ever loving minds.
Well, I applaud you. I applaud you. And Lady Grave Dancer, she was around like I remember people giving much respect to her back like 5 years ago. I don't know how long when was her heyday?
I've only been around like 6 years. So, because I had another channel, but I didn't have any I still have it, but I don't have content on it. And I had talked to it because I was really kind of on the fence about making a YouTube channel. And the Noah's like, you should do it. You should do it because we need more disabled people coming on here. Noah really was like, do it, do it, do it. So I did it. So, and she was really big about 6 years ago. It's just been like the last 2 or 3 years because she left the community. She had a life and she came back and and now but she's got a life, she's got a job, she's got her business, she's got this, she's got that, and sometimes as content creators life has to come before our channels. Like I've for the last 2 months these idiots have been working on this renovation of this downstairs apartment. I can't be trying to do YouTube videos with drills
Right.
and
Yep.
and them coming into my apartment, and then I got COVID, so sometimes life just has to come before your content creating.
Absolutely.
I just looked her up. The last time Lady Grave Dancer did a video was 7 months ago.
Wow.
7 months ago, and it was like a family vlog.
I first started my channel and I was coached to like, you need to put out a video and be consistent, and you need to do this and this and this. And you know what? I did all that, and the followers that I had, it's like when I started talking like this, like I am now, those followers were like, yeah, dude, click, no. So, but and so I lost a lot of subscribers, and I thought, you know what? But this is the stuff that I really want to talk about. So I had a little talk with my ego, and I said, do we really care who is subscribed, or do we really care more about saying what you really feel and being who you really are? And my ego said, no, we only care about subscribers and likes and stuff.
Well, because I got
And then I said,
into I got into an argument with someone a while back over his stance on LGBTQ community. I thought we were friends, and he was saying some nasty stuff about the community, and I was like, don't do that because I have family members and whatnot. And then he decides to target someone for being trans, and then what did he do? He doxed me. So it's like you got to pick your and drama. Nothing will get you more views on a video than drama.
Yeah.
Lady Grave Dancer, back in the day, oh my God, I was such a debater. I would be a devil's advocate for no good reason. I was vicious.
I could see that.
I was vicious. I could bring it out of the closet. I could bring it out of the closet, pun intended, dust it off. And I'm like, let's go. Let's have a debate.
They get so mad if you're on a debate with somebody that's Christian and you know more about the Bible than they do, and you bring that up to them, and they're like, well, that's how you interpret it. No, that's what your Bible says. You pagans know the Bible better than they do.
You realize that they're the whole reason they say that the God from the Old Testament is still Jesus's father, because Jesus came to abolish the law from the Old Testament. I call bullshit on that, because I don't believe that Jesus's father would have been accepting of, you know what, go ahead and kill the Canaanites, but make sure you save the virgins. I keep not to keep going back to that, but I feel like there were many other things like, you know what? Hey, I need you to sacrifice your son. Okay.
What about King Lot?
Oh, good one. Yeah. Yeah,
Abraham,
Lot, yeah.
There was not
there was a lot of suffering, and
yeah, exactly. Suffering because he was pissed about something. They weren't worshiping him. They weren't following rules. And then, to kill the firstborn of your enemy in Egypt, children. It's like that makes me think of a whole other god, child sacrificing. I believe, uh, is it Moloch?
Well, it
Oh,
was done
Moloch.
twice in the Bible, though, if I remember correctly, where the firstborn were sacrificed.
Yeah.
And that's why when Passover, that was like God's revenge on the Egyptians because you killed all of our firstborn. So guess what? I'm going to do the same to you
Yeah.
unless you
Eye for
got
an eye.
lamb's blood above your door.
Yeah. Eye for an eye. Okay. Yeah. I do not believe that just takes the work out of it. If Jesus came and said, okay, that's all right, just believe in me, and all your sins are going to be washed away. No, that takes all the work out of it. You have to do the work. I mean, judgment will come for us all, but that's going to be us judging ourselves. You know what I mean? It's us being accountable for ourselves. It's becoming self-aware.
Oh, that reminds me of like in that book that we were talking about, that sin comes from the Latin word to go against yourself.
Absolutely. To me,
Do you
that makes
remember that?
yes. Yes. So I don't believe that Jesus is going to make that okay for all of us. He doesn't. Or I'm going to go, do whatever I want and, abuse me and abuse other people, or whatever you want to call it, something that you personally struggle with. And then, but at the end of the week, I'm going to say my prayers or whatever it is you believe, and I'm going to be absolved. No,
Yeah.
you got to work. You got to, that's good the first time.
Yeah.
But you got to keep working at it. That struggle is with yourself. It's not, because you're worried about if God is going to look at you and say, no, that struggle is with ourselves, our spiritual self.
Isn't that the excuse though with all these priests in the Catholic Church, because they got God's forgiveness, so then they can go out and grab more kids and we can cover it up because they're absolved.
Mm-hmm.
They ask for God's forgiveness so they don't have to go to jail.
Lady Blind Wolf, you are not blind.
No. Yeah.
Or what is it?
I'm coming to your place. We're going to church together on Sunday morning.
Oh, I don't go to church, but
Oh no, you and me are going to church, girl.
250 pages of names from the Southern Baptist Church of offenders in that religion, in the Baptist doctrine, whatever you want to call it, 250 pages of names of offenders.
Jeez. And I'm not going to sit here in judgment because then I'm no better, but it does not make me want to go and practice that religion. I guarantee,
No, that there's a difference though. We can all agree that murder is wrong. We can all agree though that.
Well, let me play devil's advocate. Okay. I'm gonna play devil's advocate on you, girl. Cause if I was a mom and some guy was going to torture and rape my child, I'd murder the SOB.
That's true. I
meant murder of an innocent.
Murder.
Someone puts their hand on your kid, you're justified in that. Absolutely. I'm talking about somebody that just walks down the street and takes a gun and blows somebody's head off for no reason.
Right.
Okay.
Innocent. Yeah, absolutely.
Or breaks into your house and just shoots you, or drive-by shootings or serial killers.
It was an accident. It was an accident. It was not my fault. It was an accident.
Well, that's when my ego says, well, it's an accident when I frickin' shoot your ass. Yeah, it was an accident. I accidentally got pissed off and yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'll put devil's advocate Farah back in the closet.
Or putting your hands and touching kids inappropriately. That's something that
Oh, that's
is
wrong.
wrong. And I personally believe that's where you need to reenact those gallows that they used to have and get some rope and handle your business, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
Solomon
True.
was the God's right hand man, but
Mhm.
also the original father of demonology. Interesting.
Yes. Yes. But think about who his God was.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
And again, okay, you got to remember who was Solomon? Who was the God of the Old Testament? And did those demons have free will? Absolutely, until he gave them names. He said the only way that you will have power over these demons is to have their names. So Solomon lined them up and he said, okay, what's your name? What's your name? And what can you do for me? And then the God said, pretty much like with a whip and said, better tell them what your name is. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm oversimplifying. I feel like, they had free will to follow that God. And because some of them refused to give Solomon their name. Yes, absolutely. So, I
But they
mean,
can't even agree on which Bible to use.
yeah,
And even that,
Oh,
you've
man.
interpreted that from an ancient language that doesn't even exist anymore. So we can't even say for sure that the Bible that or the Bibles that we have now are that's the actual translation. Because look at how many different versions of the Bible there are, and these different doctrines of Christianity can't even agree on that. Or they take out, they make a new Bible. Well, we don't like this and this and this, so we're going to take this out and make another Bible. It's just they can't even agree on that.
Mm.
she said peccatum is sin in Latin. That's very
Yeah,
interesting.
and well, I would have to double check it, but I thought sin was like to go against yourself, to be like to do harm against yourself or something.
Yeah, wasn't that like I forget the he was like Tulloch or something like that. His ancestors were Tulloch, and they were the people from Atlantis. So I believe what you're talking about, sin to go against yourself, that would be earlier than Latin. So maybe whatever language that would have been.
Yeah,
Um,
I googled it and I
probably.
see. Yeah, I googled it and I do see peccatum. Yeah.
So Latin probably after cuneiform.
Oh, for sure.
So I don't know if that's the same type of text that was translated for anything that might have come from Atlantis, quote unquote. Who knows?
See, and so here's the thing. One of the things is that what I'm hearing and seeing is that the old gods and Yahweh was not that much different from human behavior, or the human behavior of, revenge and
Yes.
fighting
Mm-hmm.
and war and power and greed and control,
Yep.
you know?
Spilling blood of your enemy.
Yeah.
Sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Jesus came to do away with all that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. There's just something about that doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry, you know, and it is because of the other texts that I have read that I question that. So, and a lot of the other texts are stuff that was left out of our old canon, you know, not from the new. It was old canon. So we're talking ancient texts, and then here comes the Sumerian tablets, and cuneiform is the oldest, I believe, that we know of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and what's really interesting is here you have Enlil and Enki, and I forget the sister's name, but they come and they see they come here and they realize that,
Was it
one,
Tiamat? It wasn't
Tiam,
Tiamat. Was
no,
it Inanna?
Tiamat was actually named after Earth, and she was one of the firstborn.
Or was it Inanna?
Inanna was Enki's granddaughter. I could look
geez.
it up. I think it starts with a N, Nurgle, something like that.
Nephilim.
Well, Nephilim is, that's something that's in the Bible, but their sister, I think Enki married her, or Enlil. I think Enki married.
Oh, Nana, Ningal.
Yeah. Okay, so they come here and they had actually realized that somebody had been there before them. There was
like
another.
they completely took Lilith out of the equation when it came to the story of Adam and Eve.
Yeah, Lilith, but I'm pretty sure that she's in the Sumerian tablets. It's just she's not named Lilith, but I believe she gave birth to one of the Adamites, because there was like 3 Adams, I think, and the first one could not reproduce, but they kept making them to work for them. And then Enki was like, man, I sure wish that they could reproduce by themselves.
Right.
Instead, I keep copying these, and I wish they could reproduce by themselves. Then wouldn't have to keep doing the same process over and over, And Enlil was like, come on, really? Come on. They're becoming more and more like us, So he was kind of getting ticked off about all this. But, Enki stayed true to it. So, Anu comes from Nibiru. I'm kind of getting off track here, but what I find very interesting is that Anu, when he comes to visit Earth and see what his sons and daughter are up to and how they're getting along, he realizes, that the Earth is going to need a king, and he wants to give it to one of his sons. And Enki's the firstborn, but Enki's mother is not from Nibiru. She's Palladian.
Ah.
Yes. So he says, okay, since Enlil's mom is Nibirian, or not from Nibiru, it's going to go to Enki, or to Enlil. And Enki wasn't mad. He wasn't really mad, but his offspring was kind of a little bit ticked about it because, that took away their legacy, So isn't it interesting? We have the Ajiji. The Ajiji were from Mars.
Mm-hmm.
And they came, kind of around the same time that the Anunnaki did. And the Anunnaki are like, oh, hey, we're going to put you to work. And they're like, yeah, no, fuck you. It's time. And so that's when Enki starts seeing the primates that are already existing on Earth. And he was like, you know what? I'll bet if we mess with their DNA, we can make something that'll work for us. And then he, that's where they started. And then when they found out that they couldn't reproduce, then they started finding different ways to mess with the DNA so that they could reproduce. So again, they had, 3 different types of atoms till they finally, I believe it was the 3rd try. And it was by impregnating Enki's wife, putting the embryo in his wife and her actually carrying the embryo that she birthed the first Adam, and I believe the female too, which I can't remember her name. But anyway, I think Lilith had to then lay with the first Adam that was able to reproduce, and then they had offspring. So Lilith was an Anunnaki. And I'm not positive, but I'm thinking she was the handmaid to the sister.
I always forget the family tree and the family history.
I forget
You,
their names.
like it's the same with like the Greek pantheon. I always forget. I mean, like I like hearing it over and over again, but
Hmm.
I always like I'm like, wait. And you know what the funny thing is? I can't even remember my own family history. It's
Yeah, me neither.
so bad.
But
It's so
I
bad.
joke. I have the memory of a 12 gigabyte phone.
No, you did. You obviously know it pretty well. So.
Yeah, but I have to delete some in order to save some, if you know what I'm saying.
That comes with old age.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
so
now I'm gonna
funny.
be dealing with COVID brains or COVID fog
Oh,
or whatever it is.
So funny.
I'm telling you.
Is COVID brain a thing?
I think so.
Yes,
I think
that's
so
what I've
before
heard.
it got worse. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Well,
Just like with uh when you become a mom, you get brain fog. So I'm getting a double whammy right now,
oh my God.
plus the old age thing. So
Aw.
Yeah.
Well,
Me too.
I'm definitely got the menopause brain. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
that's the other thing. Yeah, menopause fog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I go through the alphabet when I see somebody that I haven't seen in a long time. And then I go through all the kids' names and including pets' names before I get it right.
So here's the thing. So yesterday, like, okay, so what's really weird, I don't know if either one of you, I'm gonna guess that Lady Blind Wolf has not been in a church in a minute.
Yeah, about 7 years.
Right, there you go. But so yesterday I was in a mosque, and my mom's like, because it was the weirdest thing. She's like, she had, okay, this is the month of Ramadan, and she had asked me at 3 o'clock in the morning. And y'all know about 3 o'clock in the morning, right? You know the stories about 3 o'clock in the morning. So she comes knocking on my bedroom door because I live with my mom. She's 81. And she goes, Farah, do you want to fast? I'm like, no, I don't want to fast. And so so and then she's like, okay, well, you're going to the mosque with me. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go to the mosque with you. She's like, okay, well, you have to observe everything, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'll observe. And then, during the prayer thing, can I tell you, it's just the weirdest feeling to just sit there and you know, like, because I'm not just sitting there. I'm thinking about this God, Allah, Allah that everybody's praying to, and I'm just sitting there, it's the weirdest feeling.
Well, I was really involved with because I had a young kid and the youth pastor, so I was involved with the youth group quite a bit, and they decided to do a thing on Wicca. And I'm sitting there, and there's just all of these misconceptions about, well, Wicca led me to drugs, and then it led me to this and to that and to Satan worship, and I did that. And I'm like, and I'm sitting here going, this is not the truth about Wicca at all. But I have to just sit there and be quiet, even though I'm not Wiccan and, haven't practiced Wicca in years, and they're spreading all of these misconceptions about Wicca to these kids,
Oh my
and
God.
I'm like, wow. Wicca led me to become a meth addict. Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Wow. You know what you were talking about, Farah, the whole actually like trying to take part in something that, you know, you respect, but you don't really believe. So there's that awkwardness, maybe.
Well, because for some, and look, I know for a fact that Islam gives purpose, meaning, strength to some people. Same with Christianity. It gives purpose, meaning, strength, belonging, order, all of those types of things to some people. Great, wonderful. Do you? But you know what
Yeah,
I'm trying to say.
I do. I do. Absolutely. And that's, like I said, that kind of goes back to what I was talking about, trying to be honest. I respect all religions, and that because I don't want to judge what another person believes, because I don't know why they believe that. And if it works for them, wonderful. I just don't want to be judged for mine. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I that makes it easier for me to listen, and that's where I think that if we listen, um, I just put up Lady Adara's comment. Yeah. Yeah. She's going to put up a huge temple to Hecate right in the middle of her town.
Cool. Let
Yeah.
me know when I'll come.
But that's kind of like, going back to what Lady Blind Wolf and Kristen was saying in the early part of this podcast, was that the different pantheons and the different names, but they're still the same god or goddess, is Hecate has many names. So it is in my belief that Mary Magdalene was a high priestess.
Yeah.
And she has been linked to Artemis. Artemis has been linked to Diana. And isn't Diana Hecate's sister? Right? Or are they the same?
I
I'm
don't
not
think
sure.
they are. I don't think that they are. That's more Lady Adara's expertise. I'm kind of new to the Greek pantheon. I'm kind of new to all of that. So that would be something that she could answer. But
That would be a good podcast to do next time, don't you think? It's like the different pantheons and like who we think is like.
I've tried to do something like that because I was wanting to do one about the correlation between Santa Muerte and Hecate.
So why don't we plan something like that? And Lady Adara, we can get her on, and we can do our homework. I'll get with everybody, and we can let's have a podcast on who these different gods and goddesses are, and in the different pantheons.
Are we going to include the
the
African and the Indian pantheons as well?
That could be your area.
If they are similar,
be...
I would, because they believe that Jesus was the white buffalo.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Let's do it.
Well, Native Americans believe that, like, when you pass, you die, that it's not a omnipotent being that lets you cross the bridge. It's the animals that decide whether or not you can ascend or not.
Oh, wow.
I love that. Gosh, that makes so much sense to me too. Yeah. So, I'll tell you what. So we're gonna get off here, and let's plan this, ladies, and we'll come back on, and I'll get with you, Lady Blind Wolf, in messaging, and then I'll just call you, Farah, and we will pinpoint another night like this, and we'll just do it like this, a podcast where nobody has to show their face, and then I'll share the link or just put it in Messenger for you ladies, and we'll come on and we'll talk about that. I think that sounds
because
okay.
The only thing is you got to do it on a weekend because they're here from anywhere between 5 to 8 o'clock renovating this apartment, and
I like this time. If you guys are good with that,
that's fine.
All right. Right on. Well, thank you to the listeners that made it, and anybody catching the playback on this. Again, you can catch that mystery show on Spotify, now YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and Google Podcasts. So, yeah, we'll have a good time.
I had a good time today.
I did too, and thank you very much. And you know what? Thanks for hopping on, Lady Blind Wolf, because
no problem.
This has been awesome.
It's keeping my mind off of feeling like total crap. So
make sure you check the news.
Yeah, I'm sending you all sorts of healing.
COVID is not fun. It's not.
I hope you feel better.
Me too.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I love you, ladies.
All right. Bye.
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 All right. And